Good morning. I'm Suzanne Susanna. Thank you for joining our live here this morning. So we're doing something really special today. We're going to talk about essential oils and our pets. And I have something I am so excited to share. I'd like to introduce Jan Jeremias. And what I want to say is that when I attended my first doTERRA convention, I picked up a wonderful book out there in Salt Lake City called SpOil Your Pets, and I have used it as a reference for using essential oils with my pets and for helping others to do so. And Jan actually is the author of that book, SpOil Your Pets, and she has just recently moved to Connecticut from another state, and we have become friends and are very much enjoying getting to know one another and our shared love of oils and our pups. We're both in love with our pups. We just think they're our children, and so I'm going to ask you to introduce yourself, Jan, and tell a little bit about your background and what brought you to the love of essential oils and pets and writing the book.
Okay, so I've been using oils for about over 15 years. I didn't grow up holistic at all. I thought people who used essential oils were hippies, lived in Woodstock, and wore beads. I mean, my background is a clinical research scientist, so I was very much in the health field, but traditional medicine and numerous med schools and things, and had not much exposure. And at the time, my dog, who was 14, not Tonka, developed something called canine cognitive disorder, which is basically Alzheimer's in pets. And one of the symptoms of that is insomnia. So she wasn't sleeping, I wasn't sleeping, and a friend of mine introduced me to essential oils, and they worked. And so I started, that was kind of like the first experience I had, which was an amazing experience because animals are so much better to use than oils on than humans because they just feel better, and you know they feel better, or they don't. We interpret it and process too much and think about it, how they work and whether they worked and whether it was in our head, and animals are great in that way. And so that kind of started me off on a mission to learn more. I took a number of courses and certifications and was approached, actually, we didn't write the book and then find a publisher. A publisher actually approached us and said there is a need out there for a really user-friendly book on essential oils for animals. So met my co-author, who's a veterinarian, and there we are.
Yeah, well, that's a wonderful story. Thank you for sharing that. And one of the first questions I get with people who are new to essential oils and who have pets in their home is it safe to use my oils around my pets? And is it going to hurt them in any way? And so I would love to expound on that question because I know that essential oils are safe for pets if they're pure, and that's why we use doTERRA oils, because we know they're pure. And so would you like to address that question, please, Jan?
Sure. Yes, it is a big concern, and I think that purity and quality is key. doTERRA oils I've never had a problem using. I can't, and when I speak about oils and their use in animals, I'm specifically speaking about doTERRA. My co-author, Dr. Mia Frezzo, is on the veterinary advisory board for doTERRA, so we know that their purity is really crucial, and she uses them in her practice every single day. I'll speak to my experience for a moment. Oh, I'm so sorry. I thought I muted it.
It's okay, it's real life.
I thought I muted it. I'll speak to my own personal life. So obviously I started when my dog was older. She was 14, but she lived to 19. So she lived a lot of years, and I used oils on her every single day. My previous cat passed away at 19, and my cat now is 20. And I've used oils on them, I think, every single day of their existence. So on a personal level, I really don't feel like there's any harm that's happening. And I do everything with the oils for myself,
Yeah.
and I never hesitate. Dr. Frezzo, my co-author, diffuses in every exam room. She diffuses in the lobby. She diffuses during surgery. She uses oils on her clients every single day, sends her patients home with oils. So I think as far as safety goes, I really don't think you need to be afraid. And as we talk about usage and how to use them around your animals and with your animals, I'll give you a few tips so that you can keep them as safe as possible.
Yes.
And, in the process, still enjoy your oils.
Yes. Oh, thank you. I love that reassurance, and we use oils every day in our homes on ourselves and on our pets, and we diffuse and with only good success. So would you share some of your favorite tips and tricks for helping pets in various ways? What's at the top of your list for what you like to share with people and for getting results?
I'm a huge advocate of diffusing oils. I mean, maybe because I love diffusing myself, so I never hesitate to diffuse oils around my pets.
Yeah.
A few tips. I like water diffusers better than nebulizer diffusers because they're a little bit more easy to regulate how much oil you use. Nebulizer ones are a little bit harder to do that, and so you can precisely measure how many oil drops you use and what kind of reaction your pet is having. The other thing is that we never suggest at all like diffusing oils and closing the doors in a room and keeping your animals in a room. They should have an escape route, because that way if they're not comfortable, they have the opportunity to leave. Dr. Frezzo always says in all her 10 years of using oils, she's never had an animal that's had an ill reaction to diffusing doTERRA oils. So she's not really, she's not concerned at all, obviously, because she's diffusing in her practice. The other thing is, and people will say, like, should I not diffuse certain oils? Should I diffuse certain oils? I mean, she diffuses wild orange and peppermint in her office. She diffuses On Guard, Purify, some of the calming oils. What I've found, though, is my animals do have specific tastes like we do.
Yes.
I look down, and they're gone because they always hang with me. I know it wasn't what I liked.
Yes.
I'm always like, that wasn't a good choice.
Yeah.
But that's not because it's harming them, just because, like us, they don't like, they're like, I don't like that smell, and they'll leave the room. So that's my favorite way to use oils around animals. My second would probably be topically. And based on that, we're huge advocates of dilution, and so really that's what it's all about when you're using oils on animals. They're smaller usually, so their body weight is less, their metabolism is different than ours, which is why things like toxins affect them and everything like that is because of their metabolism. So they process oils differently, not necessarily, and that doesn't mean harmfully, it just means that they don't need that much to have a really great impact. So diluting is a really great thing to do when you're working with oils and animals. And in the book, we have actual directions of how many drops per fractionated coconut oil or carrier oil you're using, and in proportion to whether it be a dog or a cat and things like that. And then internal usage for dogs is definitely an option. I don't normally make my own concoctions for them to ingest that often. I use a number of doTERRA supplements for that reason, from deep blue polyphenol complex if a dog, that's also weight determined, to DDR prime, to Tri-Ease, which is one of the allergy formulation or seasonal discomfort formula for dogs who suffer, or pets that suffer from allergies, which is just as common as our own allergies. And so that's very soothing for them. And I have found that dogs are different. I have a little 23-pound pug who uses lots of oils for pugs are notorious for respiratory problems, and he is elderly. He's almost 14, and I give him like 5 or 6 drops of, I give him turmeric, copaiba, and frankincense every morning in his food, and every evening
And then I put Breathe and either Lavender or Serenity on his chest at bedtime. And if I'm consistent with that, he is really good. Now, Ollie is very sensitive to oils, and just one drop is all Ollie needs. And Siberian fir happens to be his favorite. And if I see he's getting nervous somewhere, I just put a drop of Siberian fir on my palm of my hand, and then I just kind of wave it in front of him where he can smell my hand, and then I'll just rub a little on the tips of his ears where they act kind of like a little diffuser. And we just had a flight recently, and he started shaking during our first takeoff, just trembling. And he was good. He stayed, where he was supposed to, but I got out the Siberian fir and just kind of let him smell that, and it was totally calming to him, and he settled down, and we had a great flight. But it is good to be in tune with our pets and their sensitivity, because one dog is going to be like, bring it on with lots of oils or stronger things, and another dog might be a lot more sensitive. So even though Ollie is 80 pounds and Rico is 23 or 24 pounds, Ollie needs much less oil. Have you found that in your experience with pets? That
Well, I think that certain pets are very sensitive.
Mm-hmm.
It just seems that probably has to, again, do with their metabolism, maybe their digestion, things like that.
Yeah.
Also, I think pets are very intuitive. And I know that all my pets and the pets I've worked with through the years kind of know when they need it.
Mm-hmm.
And so, an animal that needs it tends to gravitate toward it.
Yes.
Like, my friend's dog will literally, when he will sit there and literally like almost spoon the diffuser, like sleeps around it. It's hysterical.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like they know. And when my cat was sick originally, I could have done anything to him and put as many oils on him as I wanted, and he wouldn't have shied away, and he wouldn't and he just knew that he needed it. And when they don't need it anymore, it's kind of like they're like, okay, Mom, I'm done.
Yeah, yeah.
And so in that way, they're so much more in tune with their biological being than we are.
Right. And have you found that the Digest Zen is just wonderful for any type of tummy upset with the dogs?
It's one of our favorite oils. I actually really like the Touch roll-ons.
Uh-huh.
The roll-ons doTERRA makes, because they're pre-diluted.
Oh, right.
So they're very easy to use. It's not like you have to fiddle with a roll-on and get fractionated coconut oil and mix it yourself. Most of them are ready to go.
Right.
And when you have an animal that, you can do it one-handed, I always say, you can open it and you don't have to worry about spilling anything. I always tell people, remember, it's not going to be a spa experience necessarily,
Yeah.
Even though they love touch, you might have to do what we call drive-by petting, like oils on your hand. And just remember that the oil, when it gets on their fur, it's absorbed. So you don't have to, if you can get it closer, that's great, but don't worry about it.
Yeah.
And so I grabbed, Digest Zen was one of my top 4 oils that I grabbed today to bring. Their digestive blend. It's I think it's a good oil whether your dog has like any digestive issue, like holiday time where everybody feels like they need to eat human food. Or getting in the garbage. Or just being on a walk and they see something and they eat it, and you don't catch them quickly enough.
Yeah.
So, or from other things that maybe are a little bit more severe, like a dog or a cat that's prone to some sort of digestive concern.
Right. Yeah. Now, what other oils did you bring as your top oils for pets, Jan?
My top oil is frankincense.
Okay.
I always know, I tell everybody, if I'm stuck on a desert island and I get one oil, I'm bringing frankincense with me.
Yes.
And it's my favorite oil for everybody in the home. Everybody. Tonka gets it. My cat Chan gets it. I get it. It's has so many different and diverse benefits. I feel like it covers everything, and you can use it from the time they are teeny tiny till the time they're old. They're very elderly.
Yes.
And so for that reason, I love it. And the other thing that's so nice about oils is that everybody in the home can use them. I love the fact that I can use the same oils I'm using on me, I use on them. there's not a lot of superfluous stuff in my house that's, like only for pet stuff and only for people stuff.
Right.
Decreases clutter. It's great.
Right. Yes. Yes. Good point. It's true. Yeah. It's a toolkit for the entire family and household, right?
Yes, it is. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then I grabbed lavender because I just think lavender, everybody knows it as the Swiss Army knife of all oils.
Yeah.
And it's a really great antihistamine, and it's really great for things like bug bites and skin issues and, anything calming, even though I did choose a calming oil. But I just love lavender, and I just figured that it's a really nice addition, so lavender and frankincense together, or any of the other oils, since it has so many varied uses. And I figured that's, probably skin abrasions, cuts, you're out hiking. These are probably 4 oils I throw in my bag and, go for a walk or a hike, and I have them with me.
Those indispensable at your fingertips.
Yeah. And also they're like price point wise, most of them are in a good price point, and if you were to group them together, it's a nice little package, like pet package.
Yes,
I would
that's
probably
true.
add in a fractionated coconut oil just because this way if you do decide you want to dilute it more, you can.
Right.
And then my last oil of choice is adaptive.
Oh, yeah.
And so calming, and I know that my co-author, Dr. Frezzo's, had great success, and it's hysterical. She has one cat that absolutely loves it. Like if you put it on your hands, this cat cannot leave you alone.
Oh, that's so cute.
It's hysterical.
That is
you'll put
hilarious.
her hands out and he's just like all over it. It's so funny. Like if it's in your bag, he does in the bag. I mean, it's really, really funny. And so I love adaptive things like anxiety, separation anxiety, sound sensitivity. Anything fear-based. Aggressive behavior is usually fear-based. So aggressive type behavior. And then our pets are kind of mirrors to what we are. So especially during these times when everybody tends to be operating on a much higher stress level these days.
Yes.
I feel like if I'm stressed, they're stressed, and
yes, they reflect what's going on with us, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think my favorite phrase is, the leash is just an external umbilical cord, but up and down the leash, like that's how it goes.
Yes.
So they just respond to what we do, as we do them, because if they're not feeling well, how upset we get.
Right. Now, would you like to demonstrate your favorite ways to put oils on?
Sure.
On Tonka?
On Tonka, sure. And I do have to say, one of the gifts of oils is having those tools at your fingertips.
Right.
Because, I've made emergency vet visits for things that were like wounds that excessive bleeding, things like that.
Right.
But how often do you get up and your animal wakes you up in the middle of the night because they don't feel well? And if you can kind of hold off till the morning and just keep them comfortable, obviously if it's nothing dangerous, but it's such a nice thing to have, and say, oh, okay, well, when that vet opens tomorrow, I'll give a ring and I'll take them in. But 10 o'clock at night or 11 o'clock at night or even earlier, you don't want to have that happen. Right.
And I've had Ollie eat something maybe on a walk, or I don't even know what he got into, and have an upset tummy and be, going out all night long, and massaging his tummy with the Digest Zen and giving him one of the soft gels just took care of it, just like that. It was completely cleared up by the next morning.
That's great. I love the stories like that, or why we do what we do, and why, we love oils.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to grab my frankincense just because, it is my favorite oil. I always, in a roll-on, I'm going to apply it to my hands. So I'm not taking the roll-on and applying it to him. I'm going to apply a few swipes to my hands. And I'm just going to massage him. Now, I'm a huge advocate of petting them where they like to be pet. I'm always like, I don't really want the experience to be negative, because then what happens is, if I go to apply oils on him again, he's never going to let me do it if he didn't like it.
Good point. Yes.
So I tend to avoid his paws, even though we put it on paw pads. But I've heard some really negative things about that, so I don't do it. One is because they walk on the ground, and oils are absorbent, like you absorb stuff, so it kind of draws in negative things.
Oh, that's a very good point. I hadn't thought of that.
You know, so if you're walking them and people spray with pesticides, you know, kind of like they don't need that. So I just put the oils on my hand and I'm just going to pet him. So I go down the length of his body. I usually start from the base of the skull, right where the top of the neck is, and I go all the way down, at least from a lot of oils, unless they have a specific issue and they'll allow you to touch it. Like if they're having a pain in something and they don't want you to touch it there, just don't. But if they are fine with you massaging a certain area, then there's no right reason why not. I will do his ears, and like Susan said, it's a diffuser, but it's also that the vessels in the ears are usually very surface, and so it's a good way to get oils into their circulation, especially if you're not doing paws. Right,
that makes sense.
And so usually they like to have their ears rubbed. Now, if you have an animal that has big floppy ears, like a basset hound, or any sort of thing where they could potentially swing their head and the ears can get in their close to their eyes, you might not want to do ears. You know, you don't want their eyes to burn or get really sensitive.
Right, that's a good point.
And and so that's basically it. I mean, he's an oil dog. I mean, obviously he doesn't mind. He's very happy here with mom petting him. And going down, and you know, and it could be as long or as short as you want. I do think that there is obviously an advantage to giving them a massage and that human touch, and you know, the connection that it nurtures. It's also the opportunity to find things maybe underneath the fur. Like the other day, I found something underneath him. I think it was just a scab from something. But you know, if you don't pet your dog, you don't have the opportunity or massage your dog to find those little things.
Right, exactly. Yeah, well, thank you, Jan. That's very helpful. And could you please show the book, and could you tell us where the best is? Aroma Tools the best place to order the book?
So here's the book. The book is organized in a particular way. We go through a description in the beginning, so it's basically the 3 ways to use, or actually 4 if you count cats, where we add oils to the litter box, do's and don'ts, certain situations where you have to take care, certain like health issues where you want to be careful.
Right.
And then we go through health topics from A to Z. So, and there is an index in the back if you're looking for something, but they're all in alphabetical order. Every section is designed the same, so we'll have a description of that section, and then a little dog icon as to what you do for dogs, cat icon, what you do for cats. I'll just give you a little picture there. And then, I have to find it, but then there's a little dog and cat icon for if it's directions for both. And so every section is the same, whether you're dealing with something like Alzheimer's, you're dealing with something like, cat scratch fever or something like that.
Right.
You know, or feline leukemia virus. So it's every section. And if it's only an ailment that's specific to a dog or a cat, obviously the dog's not there. Like if you have feline leukemia virus, FLV, there is no dog section because dogs don't get it.
Right.
Best place to get it is Aroma Tools. I do have copies here with me now in Connecticut, so if you're local, I'm happy to meet with you and get you a copy. I was going to say something else. And years ago when we first came out with our first book, which a lot of people don't know, we started working with a lot of animal-related charities, so a lot of the book proceeds go to an animal-related charity.
That's wonderful.
Since I think a lot of people might be local, for September and October at least, maybe into further on, but at least September and October, maybe parts of August, most of the book proceeds are going to Fidelco.
Oh, that's so nice. Yeah, that's so nice. And being a guide dog owner, that's dear to my heart. So I think that's wonderful. For those of you in other areas who don't know what Fidelco is, it's a local guide dog school that provides mostly German Shepherds.
Yeah, German Shepherds only.
Yeah, for people without vision. And so I just think that's a wonderful, wonderful cause.
Yeah.
And
so that's a little bit about the book. We do have a Facebook page and we have a website which you can check out. and then I'm happy to answer questions. I'm usually always available to people who want more information or just try to help their pet further than anything that's in the book. Because that, I mean, it's great. I'm not belittling my book, obviously, but sometimes we need something a little more that's a little bit more specific.
Yeah, experience. It's like experience is the greatest teacher, and so.
And just like we're not cookie cutter,
yes,
our pets aren't either.
Exactly. Well, I am so excited to be sharing this with you here this morning, and I appreciate you doing this with me so much. And this is an updated book, right? You just recently released this edition?
Yeah, so this is the 3rd edition. It came out in April. And the first one, I think we covered about 50 health concerns. In this one, we expanded it out to cover 75 or more. And we covered things which you might not consider a health issue. So we went into things like toxin-free living, so green cleaning. We covered a lot more emotional stuff, from grief and loss, specific section, to separation anxiety, to sound sensitivity, where I think in the original book we only had one section. And then there are a number of things that we, like physical issues, which we were asked about. And people sent us messages and said, you know, can you include when you do so? And then we updated the oil section because doTERRA had released so many other oils. You know, the first edition came out 7 years ago. So in the last 7 years, you know, we were missing a number of oils that we love, and including Adaptive, because Adaptive wasn't out when we wrote the first one, which is probably one of our top oils now. And so we then included as many oils as we could.
Well, that's wonderful, and we will. You can reach Jan by posting in the comments or messaging me. You all hopefully know how to reach me, and I can connect you to get a book from Jan. I'm going to be picking up a few to have on hand as well. And please let us know you're here today with a like or an emoji or a comment or a question. And if we don't answer your questions immediately, I will be following up and answering them. And we will also post the link for Aroma Tools so that you can go there and order the book if you choose. But it's definitely an indispensable resource to have in your home with your oils if you are a pet lover like we are, and that will serve you very well. So thank you again, Jan,
you're
for
welcome.
doing
Thank
this
you for
today.
asking me.
I consider it such a privilege, and it's so fun getting to know you.
Yes, and for our pups to kind of hang out together.
Yeah, exactly. They're buds now, BFFs. So thank you, everyone, for joining, and have a wonderful day.
Bye-bye, everybody.